So my name is Cece. I am part of the Agent Leadership Council. This is my first time teaching Ignite, but I'm really excited. I don't know any of you, but just a quick little background. In 2016, I started as the Sam, and then I became the Desiree, assistant MCA, got my license, and now I'm one of the top agents working here, and it sounds but I'm still getting used to it. But you know, just hard work really, and dedication has gotten me here, and you know, just not giving up, having faith, and keep going. So today's class, we're going to be talking about find and win the buyer. Hi, welcome in. Good morning. We really haven't dove in yet, too. So we're going to be talking about finding and winning the buyer. Lesson number 7 in Ignite. And so, you know, a lot of you are all new agents. So of course you want to get as much information as you can to be the best that you can be. So one day, you know, let's get you guys cappers, top agents, and do it. So I hope that the information that I shared today does encourage you and help you with your business. So we'll be going over a lot of successful agents do. There is this curriculum, we will go over it, but I'm going to share a lot about what works for me and hopefully works for you, because there's, you know, don't have to reinvent the wheel. That's the thing I learned getting into this career, and being with KW, they're awesome at sharing, you know, no secrets, you know, an abundance of business. So let's go ahead and get started. So what successful agents do every day. So our job, so we do have a career. Our career is real estate agents. Our job is to lead gen. You should be constantly trying to generate new leads, because not every lead is going to turn into an actual, you know, client or buyer. So the more leads that you have, the more opportunities. That's, I like to call them more opportunities than just leads, and then see where you go. So when you lead generate for buyers and sellers, obviously this one's more focused towards buyers and stuff, so we'll get into that. You want to make sure that you are prepared. You have, even if you've never had an appointment before, prepare for as if you are going to do it, such as a listing presentation. You know, that's something you can do. We have a ton of resources here in the office that can help you with getting a listing presentation together, and then also having buyer packets. And then I brought an example of what I do when I meet with a buyer. I have a folder, and I do the very simple. You don't have to make it complicated. So we'll go over that as well. So just being prepared. I always keep a folder of them, a stack of the folders in my car. So if you get a buyer appointment, you're ready. And then making buyer, oh, that's what we were just talking about. And then preview real estate. So you want to know, making sure you're up to date on where the market is going. It's important to come to the meetings, so do market updates, but also checking MLS, seeing where things are going. I will tell you, if you're on Instagram, follow SAC Appraiser. It's Ryan Lundquist. He is one of the funniest, but also very knowledgeable appraisers in Sacramento. He releases stats all the time, and it is it's a good resource. So Ryan Lundquist is his name. I think we've had him in the office, right? You know, I think it's been a while. I know for sure he's been here before, but it's definitely been a while.
What's his last name?
Lundquist, Lundquist. And his Instagram is SAC Appraiser or Appraiser.
I saw him just now, pretty like right.
Yeah. And he releases stats all the time. So that's an easy way of keeping up on too, like kind of where the market's going and the trends. You see that, and then it's also kind of funny. And I will tell you, if you share his, he's always more than happy that you share the information so you can share with your clients. Just also, you know, give him credit. if you repost it, just tag him. That's all he asks. And then running the business. So the back end of things, you know, making sure that you set a goal for yourself. And if you meet with the coach, you know, I'm sure Amy can go through, you know, if you set your goal, breaking it down to what activities you need to do. And that'll help you. I know sometimes having a big goal can be scary, but breaking it down either quarterly or monthly, and then just go from there. Also,
Sometimes it's just for me daily or hourly.
yeah, exactly. You can break it down all the way to that.
Like, just like, okay, just what is next?
Exactly.
The one thing at a
Yes. And, you know, we don't have to make it very complicated. And I say I've done that too, you know what I mean? But as you go through this, you kind of find your niche, what works for you and what doesn't. And then the transaction management, closing, vendor management, set goals, clients, attending training and coaching. You can never get enough of that. Even when you're a top producer, that's why there's trainings for top producers. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's never enough knowledge to have. And then managing money. So as you become a successful real estate agent, make sure you're putting money away for taxes because they don't put out themselves. And just being responsible, but you know, making sure too that you're investing in yourself. You know, you get a deal done and boom, invest in a new sign. Get another deal done, and then boom, and you know, just invest in yourself as you grow and stuff. Okay, so this is finding the buyer, the kind of process of, okay, you get a phone call or you're calling somebody and you get a lead. So you find the buyer, you want to cultivate the buyer, and that's kind of when you're doing your pre-screening with them and making sure, you know, because of course anybody can call you and say, I want to buy a house. But if they don't have a job and a credit score of 400, you know what I mean? So that's kind of when you're doing your pre-screening. And you want to make sure you're getting to know the person, asking what their needs are, making sure they're looking in the area that you serve and all of that. Then that's when it kind of becomes like more of a warm lead and you want to get them connected to your preferred lender. And that's when they become a qualified buyer. Because now you know that they have the ticket to go shopping. I always tell people like, your pre-qualification is the bullet to your gun and you can't shoot on a house if you don't have any bullets. So that's what that is. We have, you know, if you don't have a preferred lender that you work with yet, we do have a company that's in-house that you can also work with. You can walk right over if you have any questions, or some awesome lenders in there. And unless you already work with somebody, whatever it is, you know, it's good to build those relationships with lenders, because then you can communicate and get your clients ready. Because at the end of the day, you and the lender are going to work side by side to get your client into contract. So you want to make sure you have somebody that you trust and stuff. So once they become a qualified buyer, then you have them sign a buyer agreement. So a lot of these don't get done because I will say, like the car form, it's very intimidating. I'll just be 100. And because, you know, when you get a listing, you have them sign a listing agreement, right? But you don't really. So what I did, and I'm, like I said, I'm more than happy to share. Maybe I gave it to her. Oh, here it is. So what I have here, and this is what I do, is once I get a serious buyer, because you will know this too, buyers will love to go window shop, right? And in this market, it's so competitive. You know, if you go look at a house, it's going to be pending in a couple of days. And so you want to make sure, that's why it's important that they are a qualified buyer. And with these gas prices, you don't want to go drive somebody around to show houses and they're not even qualified to buy the house. So what I do is when I get a buyer that's serious and ready to go, I have them sign one. I have a custom one made, and it's my promise. It's what their promise is. And I always tell them, like, this is my commitment to you. I'm going to take time to invest in you and making this, you know, happen. I'm going to be showing homes and all these things. So I just ask for the same commitment in return. I want to give you my full service, and, you know, and then this can be voided at any time. I let them know, you know, so you let me know, because what you don't want to happen is you spend all this time with the buyer, and then they turn around and buy a house with someone else. And we don't get paid to show houses, right? So that's when you kind of want them. This shows that they are also serious with working with you. It shows a level of commitment. And usually, like, my buyers never have a problem signing this. Like I said, the car one's a little more intimidating. So if you want to get one done, I don't know if you've heard of Simple Touches. They sponsor a lot. They're one of our spotlight vendors. She made it for me, and you know, I'm more than happy to share. Or if you want to, you can also just make one yourself. So that's what I do. And then, so once you do that, they're ready to go. They're pre-qualified. They're committed to you. Now you go house hunting with your buyer, right? Any recaps or ahas in that little? Finding your buyers. So these are some stats by NAR, the National Association of Realtors. 89% of buyers purchase their home through a real estate. That means 89% of people that are buying homes need one of us. They're gonna use a realtor. Which is a huge stat. That's what I was saying. There's an abundance of business. This isn't even including sellers, right? So if you can get somebody, like there's a ton of buyers. 41% of buyers found their agent through a referral from family or friends. So that's a huge stat. So that's very important that when you're making your phone calls, you're calling your sphere, calling your circle, calling everybody that you have, your contacts in your phone are your database. That is a start. So making sure you're calling people because you may have, I'll bust myself out. You may have 15 cousins, but who do they know that you don't know? You know what I mean? So making sure that you're calling people and letting them know, like, hey, I'm in real estate. Okay, is there any, you may not be able to buy a house right now, but hey, your friend at work was talking about trying to buy a house. They don't know what they're doing. Okay, well, can you give me your friend's number? I'll call them. I would love to help. So making sure that, because that's word of mouth. And that's very, very important. And I would say that a lot of my business comes from, big majority of my business comes from Instagram and referrals, spheres of just people I know. And 75% of buyers interviewed only one real estate agent during their home search, sorry. So that means out of all the people looking, the first person they talk to is the person they're going to work with. That is a very high chance. You have to probably be very terrible and never answer your phone, so just making sure you're, that's one thing you got into real estate, you signed up to be available, including weekends. So 51% of buyers visited an open house as a way to search for homes. So that's a great way. When I first started, I did open houses. My first few clients were from open houses. That's how you build your traction. And then taking care of the client, that might be one client, but you take care of them, they're going to refer to you. And that goes back to the referral part. Have any of you gotten any buyers yet? You got some?
Yeah, I'm in my first contract. And I just, not second, another yesterday.
Congratulations. And where did you get your buyer from?
Off city.
Okay. So it's the referral company is through the office, right? Okay. Yeah, so getting your clients and kind of like, okay, where do I start? Right? Do an open house. We have a ton of agents that get listings. If you guys are not part of the Facebook group already or private group, get on there, ask people, hey, do you have an open house? My first client, I did an open house for Afton. Family walked in, we connected. That was my first client. So that's a great way of starting, because also sometimes it's intimidating to ask the people closest to you, right? Like, who do you know? Like, hey, how are you? Yeah, I do real estate, but that's why it's important too, when you are calling, come from a contribution, come from like value, you know what I mean? Hey, I'm building a business, and it'll get easier. So we're going to talk about cultivating buyer leads. So I don't know if you guys are on page 4. So on page 4, I'm going to go through this a little bit differently. Like I said, I'm going to go through how I do it, which is very similar to this, but what works for me. So we'll go through this model. Here we go. So prospecting and marketing. So this is right here where your business is going to come from. The more you do, the more you'll fill up down here, right? And so when you're prospecting is when you're going door knocking, dropping off flyers, doing open houses, you're prospecting. Like, if somebody come to me, these are probably going to be more, well, actually too, this is when you're making your phone calls. So when you're calling your sphere, your friends. If you have somebody that has a business, maybe close to you, ask if you can leave business cards at the business. Like, there's no shame in it. And then marketing, using your social media. It's 2022, it's like everything is in the palm of our hands. I do a lot of business through Instagram. I honestly, I was like, it's a free tool. You know,
your Instagram and Facebook links, so that way. This is an Instagram and platform.
sometimes, because there's an option where you can, and I don't always link it, to be honest. I'm not 100% always on Facebook, because sometimes Facebook's it's like that family that's me. That's just me personally though, but at the same time, there are people that will share your content, and it's being top of mind, it's the presence, right? So when I do have something real estate related, I'll share it on Facebook. But I use Instagram more on the marketing side of things. I'll maybe promo a post sometimes.
I was gonna ask about use of solutions that they offer.
I have, and I won't spend more than 20-30 bucks. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but hey, you just need one deal out of it and that pays more than itself. So, yeah, so that's how I do it. And so, using free platforms for that. And then too, the more you put out there, the more people are gonna see, okay, even if you're not closing deals, show yourself working. People want to see you working. They want to see what you're doing. You're doing an open house, post it, do a quick video. Right now, reels are huge. That's how I grew my Instagram following, is making reels. And guess what? It wasn't all just real estate. I showed my personality. I like a little goofy side, so I kind of show that sometimes. And this is what I do: I grow my audience and then throw real estate up. And then, hey, I'm a realtor, and then what I'll do is sometimes I'll ask them, like, I'll do a poll: who wants to become homeowners this year? And everybody who clicked yes, you can do the yes or no option. Anybody who clicked yes, I do home buyer seminars. And I DM them a flyer and invited them to my seminar, and just making that connection. And then sometimes people do, like, they'll say, oh yeah, I'm gonna come. They don't. And then a couple months later, they'll reach out. Okay, yeah, now I'm ready to come. And so it's just you want to be top of mind. That's the important thing. And two, just remembering when you get clients too, don't forget about them. That's a whole nother segment, but you want to make sure you're staying in touch, because like I said, referrals, top of mind. And if they end up wanting to, they maybe turn into a seller and then buy another property, boom, you have a client. So that's where I do my prospecting and marketing, phone calls and Instagram. Once they are captured, then you get leads and contacts. So when I get a lead, again, this is somebody who's not pre-qualified yet. I don't know where they're going to land, right? If somebody says, hey, I want to buy a house, I get the phone number. If I'm doing a seminar, that's the first thing I'll do. Is if it's within a month or so, like, hey, I'm doing this class, my class. And then if they're a little further out, I might do a buyer consultation. But anyway, you're doing your pre-screening first, right? When I save them in my phone, I put lead next to them. So I remember, so later on, when I'm going through making my phone calls, I just type in lead in my contacts, and anybody that has lead next to their name is gonna pop. And then I go through. Once that I start getting them, like I can tell they're actually serious about buying, I connect them with my lender. And once I do that, I change lead to client in my phone. And then that way I know I have a responsibility to follow up with them. And once they turn into clients in contacts, that's when I'm putting them in database. And I use Command. Command is the one I use. You can put them on a drip campaign. Just keeping in touch, set reminders for yourself. I know it gets very busy, especially if you do have other jobs, you kind of forget to follow up with certain people. But that's why I said I put the name contact or lead client or lead next to their contacts, just so it makes it easier for them. And then if I do talk to them, then in my database, you want to make sure you're noting that as well, and put, write notes down. You can add notes to a contact if you have, I don't know about Android, I know iPhones, you can put little notes at the bottom of a contact. And then when you're pre-screening them, get details and then note that at the bottom. So that way, when you go to talk to them, you're not like blindsided, like, who is this again? What do they want? Just little things. And then that kind of will filter them, because like I said, you may get a ton of leads and it's exciting. You're a new agent. You're like, oh, I got a lead, I got a client. Okay, let's get that into contact. And not every lead will turn into a contact, but that's why our job is to keep lead gen. Just do it every day. Everywhere you go, you talk to somebody, hey, how's life? It's going great. Oh, hey, I just got into real estate, and I'm really excited, want to help. My goal is X amount this year. Do you know anybody that will help me reach my goal? Kind of like switch the script a little bit, you know? So once you connected with them and they became a contact, then you cultivate them. And this is when you're nurturing them. This is when you're setting up your buyer consultation. You're going to talk to them. They connected with the lender. They connected with the lender, you know they're serious because they have to fill out an application, get a credit check and all of that. So once you have that, now you're working with them, you're getting a needs analysis. So what I do, so in the folder that I do take to my buyer appointments, I just got some plain black folders, got a sticker, put my logo, my phone number on. And so in here, there's like a buyer lead sheet. I take it out because that's for me. And I want to make sure there's one in every folder. So as I'm talking to them, I get all their information here. And this is what I keep on file for my own files of what buyers I'm currently working with. And then a needs analysis questionnaire. So these are the questions. Some of them are a little repetitive, but this is what I'm going through and getting a needs analysis on. What area, how many rooms, what lifestyle do you have? This is where it gets pretty personal, you know? And then I have some handouts that I give them. The roadmap is not in here. This isn't it. So I give them some handouts on the process of home buying. Because if you know, on their end, they're drinking water from a fire hydrant. So there's gonna be a lot of information. So this is what they get to take home. I have a buyer roadmap. It's like colorful and pretty. I don't know where it went. And what I do is I have magnets. And like, trust me, you don't have to do this right away, but these are just ideas. I have a magnet that looks like my business card. And I give them the roadmap. And it's just this colorful pie chart of the process of buying a home. And I go, put this on your fridge and here's a magnet. And then that way they, you know, so when they do go through the process, they know where they're at. It's super easy, it's simple, and it's colorful. And then, you know, they have your contact information right there on the fridge. And so that is when you're cultivating them, you're getting them nurtured, you're getting them ready to go buy a house, and you have your information on your buyer. You know what they're looking for. So once they get pre-qualified, now you have the budget. And with the budget, okay, this is where you're pre-approved at, but this is your checklist. Then you talk to them, you have another conversation about this price point. You know, they may be able to get all their boxes checked. But if they come in at a different price point, then you just have to, that's when you have different conversations. So that's going to kind of lead you and get you ready for when now they're active. So that was your appointment, right? Making sure you got everything ready to go, pre-qualified, you know what they're looking for. And they signed your buyer broker. Now it's an active client. You're actively showing them homes. You're taking them out, you're sending each other properties. Different things that I do with different clients is either if there's two people, like a couple, we have a group chat and we just send each other properties. They might see something, send it to me. If I find something, I send it to them. And then we get the list and then we plan a day to go look at homes. Then that's when you get into the part where you're putting out offers and getting them in a contract. And then, you know, once you're in contract, then it's the road to closing, making sure inspections, appraisal, and all that stuff goes smoothly. Does anybody have any questions? Any ahas? Does that help anybody?
I like the roadmap idea. It's really good. Or like the folder in general. I think that's awesome.
I know I had it in here, but I was going through. Oh, actually, here it is. We got caught up. Sorry, I turned that folder into multiple stuff yesterday. This is the roadmap.
Okay.
And then it very briefly shows meet with the real estate agent, get pre-approved, search for homes, make an offer, negotiations, under contract, final details, and then closing. Congratulations, you're a homeowner. Because they're always going to ask you in contract, where are we again? What's next? What's going on? And then, you know, it helps with the thing too. So yeah.
That paper we have?
It is not. This is just something that I use, but I'm more than happy to share. This is these are buyer packets that I made. There's other information as far as like once you buy a home, now what? This one here, what happens contract to closing? This form is on the roadmap. It says, you know, you're under contract and then what's after that, right? This one goes more into what's happening during escrow. And, you know, when your deposit's due, your appraisal's getting done, inspections are getting done, removing contingencies, all of that is in here. These sheets I get from Madi at First American, so I'm pretty sure you guys have seen her here. She's here quite a bit for our team meetings and stuff, so you can always ask her for like the buyer maps and stuff, and I'm sure she'll be more than happy to share that with you. And then
There's one, it looks, I don't know if it's the same, as yours, in the Ignite kit share
oh, there you go.
drive, should be shared.
Yeah, I got that one from Madi. I just
Oh.
got one, and then I made copies of it.
Yeah,
So that's the cool thing about being in this office is there's so many good resources, you know, like, hey, do you have a simple buyer guide? And then use that, you know, actually Amy's was the one that shared the roadmap. And then just brand it to yourself. I didn't brand it, that's why I give
for us
her.
newbies, I mean, I think they're good for us too. Well, I mean, there's a more detailed one for our site.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, we're going to be it.
Yeah, and then, you know, especially in the beginning, then you get your flow of things and then you kind of know, but it's good to have for yourself too. So when you're talking to your buyers and they're asking you where we're at, you know what, you have your answer, you know what you're talking about, you know, because it's intimidating. Trust me, I know. It can be very intimidating in the beginning, but like I said, and I will tell you, no two transactions are the same. You know, but the more you do, it'll come. It'll come.
So what all do you have in your packet?
So in the packet, I have my buyer lead, buyer analysis. And that one, I put it in there. So I make sure at each appointment I have it, right? So when I give them the folder, I just take it out for myself.
Okay.
Yeah, so I have that. I have the buyer roadmap. The contract to closing map. And I have two more handouts that I also got from Madi. One includes, it's 10 most commonly asked questions about home inspections. Because a lot of clients are gonna ask you, why do I need inspections? And so it talks about that. And then I have one that just talks about reminders for buyers after closing. So it's what happens after signing? Where do I get my mail? How do I get my keys? So just what happens after. So I have those handouts in there. And again, I got these from Madi and took these. And that's what's in there. And then I also have the buyer representation agreement in there. And I present it to them up front and I'm saying, here's your copy to keep. I'll DocuSign. If you're gonna sign it, I'll DocuSign it to you. So you have your electronic copy and then they have a physical copy so they know what they signed. Like I said, that one is way less intimidating than the other. But it gives you that reassurance too, that they're serious about working with you. Because again, the last thing you want to do is spend a ton of time on a client and they turn around and work with someone else, right?
Just the folder is a very, very smart idea. I just wanted to make sure you said it was that you got those from.
No, I made them myself.
Oh, you made them?
Yeah, yeah, I got some of the flyers. Yeah, I
That's what I
got the
was
flyer
thinking.
from her and then I just I put my card at the bottom of it. One of them, this one, I just put my card at the bottom. And then,
So Madi or Marie?
Madi, M-A-R-I. Yeah, she's here at like all the team meetings. She's right upstairs. And just let her know, like, hey, I'm a new agent. I need help with my buyer packets. Ask her for, she has these pre-made buyer packets. Just ask for one. Like, can I have one? And then make copies. That's what I did. And then, yeah, so in the folders, that's what I did. I just went and bought some plain solid folders at Staples and then made the labels myself. So, and then, you know, one day I'll actually buy it. Does anybody have any questions? No? We'll move on. So this is in Command. Are you guys all on Command yet? Yeah. Good. Okay. So in Command, they have these smart plans, which is great, where you can set up somebody on, you know, to get automatic emails, text messages, and all of that. Or you can also make it a task list too, where you make sure, okay, you got a lead, put them in your database, set a phone call reminder, call them, text them, whatever it is, and you set these calendar reminders. And then, that's just another way to keep in touch with them. Because, even though 75% of people go with the first, realtor they meet, there's still that other 25%. You want to make sure you're on top of it. And if you get an opportunity, not a lead, an opportunity, you want to take it to a deal. You know what I mean? So there's the smart plans that you can do for your new clients. Qualified buyer leads. So there's A buyers, A, B, and C buyers. A buyers are able, ready, and willing to purchase. This is somebody that called your lender and filled out an application. This is somebody ready to go. This is where you're going to want to spend most of your time. Because they're serious. You know that you're going to go out, show them a home, and that they're going to be able to put in an offer on it. If they can put an offer on a house, that means they can, we can close. B buyers are able and ready, but not right now. Maybe they do want to buy a house, but they have a credit issue, or they're still saving up for their down payment. These are going to be the ones that you want to keep in touch with, but you're not going to spend as much time with them until they get on their end, unless it's something you can do on your end. But these are the ones that, okay, you need to save a little bit more for your down payment. What I like to do is when they connect with my lender, we set goals. This one, they might have connected with the lender, or they're like, oh, I don't have enough down payment. Then let me wait, and then I'll call the lender. But that they really, really want to stay in contact with them. Put them on a drip campaign, on a smart plan, whatever you have to do, but you're not going to spend as much time as the ready ones. Those are the ones you're going to be calling probably every other day, sending properties. C buyers are just not ready. These are the people that they are not serious. They want to go look at houses. They haven't even gotten pre-approved. They haven't even started the process. So you can keep in touch with them, put them on a smart plan, maybe touch base with them like once a month or once every other week, right? Every few weeks, whatever it is. But it's as you trickle down, that's less time spent. And I know how exciting it is. I got a lead. This person wants to buy a house, but if they're just not ready, you want to make sure that you use your time wisely. And you're like, okay, great. It's nice to meet you. We'll be in touch. Call them. Hey, how's it going? Where are you at now in the process? But those A buyers are the ones you're going to need to make sure that you're actually spending time and make them feel loved on. Because especially if they're first time home buyers, it is a scary, intimidating process. So I want to make sure you're giving them some love.
Are those labeled in command, or do you make your own tags, A, B, and C?
You can make your own tag. Yeah. I know with tags in command, you can put buyer on there. But you can also put in the note section like A, B, or C. And then you can also do it by when you're putting them in command, put them on a smart plan, and you'll know if you're doing a once a month touch, it's probably a C buyer. And I think on there, you can even add a note if they're even pre-approved yet. And if they're pre-approved, they're more likely on the on the A category. Oh, see, this is the buyer lead sheet. I did get this from Amy then. So this is the one I use in my buyer folder that I put in there. And this is where you're putting all their information. And then there's like some questionnaires and stuff. It looks like download the buyer lead sheet from your electronic tool. So you guys have access to this. So when you do have your buyer appointment, fill this out. And then what you do is take this information and put it in command. Okay, so I don't know if we're going to be doing a role play. Yeah, we're gonna skip the role play because it's only like an hour class, so. Does anybody have any questions yet? No? Okay. If you guys have questions, please just raise your hand and don't just interrupt.
I do have one question.
Yes.
You said that we prioritize our time wisely. Buyers, would you put like the B and C buyers following up with them after so much time of contacting them? Would you contact buyers in a sooner amount of time than you contact the C buyers?
Correct. Yeah, because the B buyers are more motivated. Not saying C buyers are not motivated,
Yeah.
but they're just in no way going to probably buy a house in the next 6 months.
Right.
C buyers, yeah, we go back. they probably are not gonna buy for 6 months, maybe a year. You hear that a lot. Hey, I wanna buy a house, I'm thinking next year. You guys ever hear that yet? That's a C buyer. So put them, if it's somebody you know or you actually clicked with and connected with, whether it was a referral or a family member, put them in your database and touch base with them maybe once. Or, another thing I do is, what you can also do, and I do this too, is when you do smart plans and you need to do a touch, right? They talk about 33 touches or however many that you do with your database. If they post something on social media, making sure you're commenting on the content.
Without because they're touch.
It's because you're kind of reminded like, hey, I'm here, but you can grab their, and this is what I do too. One day I went to my database and I went to Facebook and I grabbed everybody's birthdays and I put their birthdays in my command and then reaching out to them on their birthday. It's a personal touch. And so it doesn't always have to be, do you have business for me? You know what I mean? And coming from building that relationship. That's how I really have grown my business too, is building relationships with the people I don't know. And then the people I do know, greater relationships and knowing that this is what I do, this is what I love to do. I'm here to help. So yeah, C buyers, those are probably not the once in a while, but you still want to make sure you're making your touches. And then the Bs, they really are motivated, but maybe it's just like a down payment. So you want to make sure that like, hey, how's it going? How's everything? I know how's it going with savings? Like not to be all up in your business, but how's the down payment plan coming along?
Like you want to talk every 2 to 3 weeks or okay.
Yeah, or whatever you would kind of know. You would kind of know, take the feel for it. Or, may not just be a phone call, maybe a text, and then if they haven't done, that's what I do too. So if you maybe have met with them for a buyer consultation, or maybe you haven't done a buyer consultation with them yet, right? You did your pre-screening and stuff. If you do decide to like later in the future, do a home buyer seminar, I'll reach out to them and say, hey, it's been a couple months, haven't talked to you. Hey, I'm gonna be doing a class. And if they say, if you'd like to come get a refresh, please come by. Or if you know somebody who wants to buy a house and, maybe would benefit from them and have them invite them too. That really helps. And then when you do that, when I do the classes, whoever does come, you have them sign in and you have their numbers. You call them and say, hey, how did you like the class? Do you know anybody who you think would be interested in attending the class would help as well? And that'll also help doing that. If you don't have class, this is just, a suggestion, but if you're not there just yet, just having those conversations and finding the opportunities to invite. Our office does a great job at having events, and that's a great opportunity to call your database. We're about to do a shred day soon. Tax season's here. Say, hey, my office is doing a shred day. Like, you have some things you need to shred, just come on by and all of that. And like, it's another reason to call people. And then they see that you're working, and people love to know you're working. And so that's just another reason. Whether it's A, B, or C, like certain things you'll know.
Yeah.
Kind of who to call for what and how many times. But it's the higher up, the more touches you want to make. Because you're probably, if you're having an A buyer who's like house hunting, you're probably talking to them every day. And they're probably sending you properties every day. And that's what you want. You want to get them from C to A, and that's just it's really important to be in touch with people. Sign the buyer agreement. So you ask for the business. When will you be ready to buy? You ask for the appointment. Don't just say, hey, let's meet up like next week. Yeah, that sounds good. We should meet up sometime. Don't leave it there. Say, oh, okay, yeah. Are you available next week at 2:00? Kind of give them those options. Oh, that doesn't work for you. How about Friday at 5? I don't know, just talking to them, especially if you know that they're more on the B or A side, you want to get them in as soon as possible because 75% of them are only working with the first person they meet with. You want to make sure you're getting in front of them as soon as possible. And if that means on an evening or a weekend, we signed up for real estate. So, and then assess financial needs. Have they been pre-approved to purchase a home by a lender? So usually you'll get that information when you're meeting with them and you'll kind of know, Some people have somebody that they know and they want to go through lender wise, but you know, if you have your preferred partner, recommend. Hey, I work with this person, so, you know what I mean? And so I don't know if you guys, I think I asked that, but like I said, we have Cap City right there. Just go down the hall, meet the girls and see if that would, you know, work for you, get some business. Or whoever it is. Sometimes we have different lenders come in too, so whoever it is.
So I was kind of curious, like, what kind of questions do you ask, like those type of people, like versus like on the phone versus pre-qualifying them, like at an appointment?
Yeah,
So like, what kind of questions are like asking?
the differences ones,
Yeah.
yeah. So usually when you're making that initial phone call, it's like when you're trying to warm them up and fill them out, right? You're going to ask how soon are they looking to buy? Have they connected with the lender? Have they been pre-approved yet? That's a big one. And if they say, well, no, not yet. Okay, well, would I be able to send you my lender? They'll be able to answer your, because I don't answer finance questions. And I tell people, I don't want to give you the wrong information. I am not a licensed lender. But I know a little bit. You share the information that you do know, right? But I just separate, have they been pre-approved? How soon are they looking to buy? What's the reason for the move? What area do they want to live in? What's their family? What's their lifestyle? You know what I mean? Like, oh, are you looking for family? Is it a kid? Or is it just like, you know what I mean? You kind of get that feel for it. And then, what else do I ask in that? It's usually not a long conversation because that's when I want to get them in and say, hey, I would love to connect with you some more. I'm going to send you my lender's contact. And then we also have the KW app. I don't know if you guys use the KW app. I'm like, can I send you? And I sent them the link. And I don't know if you know this, but when they download the KW app, if you haven't put them in command, when they create their profile with the app, it automatically puts them in command. So I send that to them after the initial call. And I know if they downloaded the app, then they're a little more serious, right? Gives you a little more of an idea. So yeah, just the pre-screening stuff. You want to get the initial stuff. Where are they at with their finances? You don't ask like how much money you have, but you want to make sure like, all right, well, you know, because they're going to ask you, how much do I need to put down? Well, you know, oh, you can get a loan with 3.5% down. Oh, okay. You kind of tell by their reaction too, like, you know, and then they'll ask you some loan questions. That's always, you're always going to get that. And then really just, the point is get a little bit of information about them, feel them out, bring them in. And that's when you're asking actually the needs analysis as far as how many rooms, what area, what neighborhoods, is there a specific school, square footage, backyard, all that stuff. And that's in that, but also in that sheet tool as well. And you kind of, it guides you with what questions. Some of them are pretty repetitive, just skip it, you know, you're kind of, and then you flow with the conversation. And that's the thing, we are human beings. It's okay to have a natural flowing conversation. It doesn't have to be super proper, right? Because you want them to feel connected with you. And you're about to spend a lot of time with them because in this market, you're probably going to be showing them 20 houses. Hopefully not, but you know what I mean? You want to build that relationship and you want them to feel comfortable with you and sharing and stuff. So, and then once they get pre-approved, then that's another conversation. Any recaps or ahas?
I really like your folder.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Well, to achieve recap. How has your thinking changed? Do you have, what ideas or mindsets are new? Do you guys have any takeaways from as far as the stuff? I know you said like folder and stuff.
Different kinds of conversations to have.
Yeah, and if you find another material that you think you would like or would benefit from, and like I said, I've made about like 15 of them, and I just have a stack in my car. And when I know I have a buyer appointment, I just grab a folder. It's like ready to go. And that way you don't have to like scramble like, oh my gosh, I have an appointment. I have to go make a folder. Just make a pile of them at a time. You're gonna get by about at a time anyways.
I like that you put the lead next to their name, so that way when you're going through and you're like, hey, what are my leads? Just type in lead in all that.
Yeah.
Makes your life a lot easier than having to go through like, who is this again? Like,
Exactly. I was gonna say, you know, you're gonna be like, oh, who is this? And if you have to ask yourself, who is this? You haven't talked to them in a long time. And so make that call. And the goal is, you know, you want to get them to say client next to their name. And then, once they have client next to their name, put them in your database, and that's when you're starting to warm them up and, that relationship. And some buyers, it might take a few months, and some buyers, and this happens too. You'll get a buyer call you, they fill out an application that day with your lender, and then next thing you know, your house went the next day. Well, maybe a day or two, and then you'll have the buyers who might take a couple of months. But that's the beauty of our job. No 2 days are the same. So it doesn't get boring.
I like your buyer commitment sheets. It's not so like you're signing on the dotted line,
Yeah. It's like, you have to work with me.
Right.
No, and then on there, it talks about what my promise is. I promise to give you information. I promise to, I'll read you guys a couple of them. My promise to arrange for showing homes which are of interest to you, evaluate your housing needs, assist you in connection with your loan pre-approval, provide you with information about homes available for purchase which meet your requirements, to preview homes for you whenever appropriate in order to determine whether or not such homes meet requirements. This is a fancy way of saying I'm gonna find a home that you are qualified for.
Gonna say, I'm so.
Yeah, so it's like, look, this is what I'm gonna do for you. And that's why I started with what my promise is. And then I asked them what their promise is, to provide me information, to advise me immediately if there's an event of change of reason why you're gonna not purchase a home. When attending open houses, you will sign under my name, because that's another thing. If your clients go out and sometimes, you're not available on a certain Saturday, and you're like, go ahead, go look at the open house, but make sure and there are agents that might try to poach, you know what I mean? That's the reality. And so it talks about that. Also, if you didn't know this, when clients go look at new home builds, if you are not there their first visit at a new build, they will not co-op with you, and your client becomes the new home builders. You have to be there just for the first one. If you go with the first meeting and sign in with them, they can go back as many times as they want to without you. But you have to make sure they're there. And so it talks about that in here too, making sure that, you're letting me know if you're gonna go on there, go to a new home build, you sign in with me, and then attending open houses, notify me verbally in writing in the event that you choose to discontinue use of my services. So if you decide to work with someone else, that is totally fine, but you need to let me know.
Yeah.
Because the worst thing I want to happen is, and it has happened, or you go on Instagram or Facebook and you see your client post, I bought a house. What? You know what I mean? So that's also another reason why you want to make sure, like, hey, I'm committing to you, please commit to me.
It gives you certainty knowing that this client is gonna work during the effect of that. And you doing exactly what you promised.
Exactly.
As a customer and looking for an agent and seeing, like, you know what, this agent is at first putting out these promises to me, I'm gonna stick with them, and it
Right.
gives you more of a security, knowing like this person's actually gonna take care of it.
Right. And make sure you're keeping your end of the promise too.
Right.
That you're available. You are showing them houses. Now, if you're not showing them houses, you're picking up the phone, then that's different. Now you're breaking this, right?
Yeah.
But you're the one bringing this to them. And then what you get when you work with me, you get 24 access to my leading technology with our KW app. Anybody can use the app at any time. In the KW app, you get full access to my guide. There's a home buyer guide in the app. You receive buying process tips, and you'll receive specialized and personal service, the family tree. That's it. And this one's way less intimidating to ask your buyer to sign. And again, this is simple touches. Did that. So, what else? Let's see. How will your behaviors be different going forward? What actions are you going to take? Anybody?
They get all those.
Right? Yeah, I'll share with you. Is there anything that you guys, so I guess the folder is like the big thing, right? Yeah, moving forward. I love it though. I love it. And then what tools, models, or systems will you definitely use? We just kind of talked about that. How will they make you accountable? That's a good question. Anybody?
I think that touches and putting them in the app, and that can make you help accountable. It tells you when to talk to.
Yeah.
Like those touches, you have to have so many touches in there, and you can set goals for yourself.
Yeah. Kind of gets easy to get lost in the busyness, right? But we need to make sure
And then the contract, that keeps you accountable too.
Right.
Because it tells you my.
Exactly. Okay, so Spark, goals to set your career on fire. So here's some goals that you can do too. Pretty easy start. 10 contacts added. So try to, I don't know how long this is for. What goal, like is this in the next month?
Oh, I mean, if this is something you can do every week.
I was gonna say,
Some,
Is this
yeah,
week?
it's conversations a day, conversations per week.
Okay, there you go. So for today, I challenge each and every one of you to get 10 contacts added in your database. Whether it's through social media, make a post, use Canva. There's a lot of free tools. I use Canva a lot.
Somebody created your,
I'm a-
logo.
No, I did get my logo made.
Okay.
Fiverr was, they have cheap freelance stuff. I got my logo made. I have a friend that makes shirts, so he did that. Are we good on time? We have about 5 more minutes. So,
You got about 1 more minute, I gotta take cable now.
oh, just kidding. Okay, I'll hurry up really quick. So Canva is what I use for a lot of marketing. And then put a post out there. So get 10 contacts, talk to 10 people, get some handwritten notes and look at 10 home previews. So.
I know, I've seen a lot of this, I know it's easy for a lot of agents to say, oh, I'm gonna close 10 deals this year, I'm gonna close this or that, but being an agent, it's like, okay, how do I do that? This is how you do that. You make goals for what you can control today, right? Goals for how many people am I gonna talk to? How many posts am I gonna put out there? How many this, how many that? Like, that's your easy, I'm gonna do it right now, action goal.
Alrighty, and then I will get the sign-in sheet from Amy, and if you guys want, I will email you guys my stuff. Is that easier? Yeah. Okay, everybody sign in? Okay. Alrighty, I'll get that from Amy, so. Thank you guys.
Stay around, keep it perfect.